Today we're going to be talking about some common questions you might have about the Bible curriculum. First question, have I gone through the Bible Encounter training? This is important because if you haven't gone through the training, you're not able to access the resources. So the first question to ask yourself is, have I done the training?
I've done the training, but I've been waiting almost 5 days now for them to approve.
Oh, bummer.
I'm just waiting on there.
Okay.
I have done the training.
All right, so you're on the A answers. Yeah. Okay, that's a great question.
What was the question?
If you haven't done the training for the level that you'll be teaching this year, find your training module below. So the question was, what if I've done secondary and now I'm going to be teaching elementary? Or conversely, what if I've done elementary and now I'm going to be teaching secondary? So they actually have a bridge, and the links are in this slideshow, which we'll put on Padlet. But you go to ALC and they have the module for you. So elementary is the whole elementary thing. If you've never taken the training before, you'll use that one. If you've done the elementary training and now you're going to be teaching secondary, click on the Bridge to Secondary training. And if you've never taken it before and you're teaching secondary, that's what you want, Secondary Adventist Encounter Curriculum training. But if you've, like you said, if you've taken the secondary training, but now you're going to be teaching some elementary, click on the Bridge to Elementary training. Okay, once you've taken the training, and they've said, okay, you're done. How do you access the materials? The materials can be accessed from your NAD dashboard account. So you'll go there, you'll log in with your email address and your password. And then you'll get to the home screen. You have to scroll down because you won't see these resources at first unless like your screen is huge or your icons are really small. But anyway, make sure you go down to the bottom of the page. Under resources, there's a button that says Encounter Resources, and you click on that. And then this little screen will pop up. It's just a reminder, new login information, because it used to be different. So now your login and password for the Encounter curriculum is the same as your login and password for your Adventist Education dashboard account, which is really nice. So all you have to do here, once you read through it, if you want to read through it, is click on the X to close that window. And when you close that window, it will automatically take you to the Encounter site. So you're going to click Log into Secure Zone. And then what login do you use and what password do you use?
The same one for your dashboard.
Yes. What login and what password do you use, guys?
Dashboard.
Oh, that was so weak. But yeah, your dashboard one, good. So enter your dashboard information and then click login and you're in. So it should be as simple as that. If it doesn't work, maybe contact your conference or yeah. Then you'll be able to see the teacher resources page. And you'll be able to see the standards, the scope and sequence. The screen that I'm on right now is the teacher resources. Does anybody have any questions so far? I hear a little bit of chatting, and I'm wondering if I can answer anything for you guys that the whole class might appreciate. Did you guys have one? Are you just trying to get there right now? Okay. So next question, out of the yearly cycles, how do I know what to teach? There's 8 yearly cycles. Write your best guess. Maybe you know, maybe you're not sure. It's okay, it doesn't show who says what, so I don't think. So you don't have to get into the Adventist Encounter site right now. In fact, I don't want you to, because I want you to stay with me. We'll do it later, and I can, the steps are clearly listed for you to refer back to at any time. Out of the 8 yearly cycles, how do I know what to teach? Let's see. The grade passed what was done last year. Okay. It's an odd year in cycle 1, so assuming that 1 through 4 is the first grade curriculum, true. Or maybe not. Okay. There is a pacing guide. Good. 5 for 5, 6 on an odd year, 6 for 5, 6 on an even year if you're teaching those 2 grades. Yeah. Follow each section, not sure, I don't know, no clue. All right, these are I. Okay, I love that you already know because it came from the top down. So you're like, yes, this is why I know, because my superintendent told me. That is good to go with what your superintendent says, but here's some more information. So one thing you can do, if you're teaching 3 or more grades at once, is go to the multi-grade classroom site. And there's a link in this slideshow, it'll take you there. And it will tell you what you're doing. But there's a note for everybody who is teaching in a one-room school. If you're teaching grades 1 through 8 or K through 8, 2 groups is ideal for the kids' learning, but for everybody's sanity, please pick 1 year to teach. It's usually based on the heavy side of enrollment, at least when you're starting out. But it depends on what the teacher before you has done, like some of you guys said. But then you're going to cycle through starting with that year, and we'll look at that on the next slide. But if you're teaching 2 grades, you can alternate like you do with the other combined subjects. So last year was an even graduation year, so it was even, and this year is an odd graduation year, so it's going to be odd, just like you guys said. If you're teaching 5, 6, you're going to teach year 5.
So how does that work with K1?
K1, you're going to teach 1.
I know, I'll teach 1 this year, but so next year.
Well, that's a good question. Stepping Stones does have a Bible curriculum as well that you can use.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We can't just merge the K with 1, because Bible, wouldn't it be all of them?
Yes, but this year she would merge everybody together in the year 1 curriculum, and then next year she would merge everybody together probably in the kindergarten curriculum. Yeah.
So you do 1.
Okay, here's the rationale for one-room schools behind teaching 1 concept or 1 level to all of the grades. It says discretion must be used, careful professional record keeping is imperative, et cetera, et cetera. But it says it's a workable solution. And here's some questions that you could ask yourself, like, are there ways that older students can support the younger students? How can the older students still be responsible for their own on-level assignments? What's the span of the grades? So if you're carefully considering these questions and you're thinking these things through, by all means teach 1 topic. How are you going to engage all of the ages when teaching just 1 level of the curriculum? And I know this is more specifically to those of you with a larger grade span when you're teaching. Here's some ideas of how you could make the lower levels work for the upper grades. So if you're teaching like year 1 or year 2 of Encounter, which is like the 1st grade and the 2nd grade curriculum, it says, this year I'll be doing 4th grade. These are some actual teacher comments that Kalisha and I, or maybe it was just me, I think I was doing this one. Anyway, but I asked some teachers and they shared. I have found it easy to differentiate for the upper grades from the lower grade curriculum. I just give more writing assignments, letting them tell the story to the younger students, maybe a comic strip review of the story. I add more to the treasure verse. I've also found my older students have gained a tremendous amount of new knowledge through the approach that Encounter takes. It has helped them look at the stories for deeper meaning, especially the old favorites. So just like today, when we were looking at the story of the storm, Jesus calming the wind and the waves, that's probably, if you've grown up in a church, something that you've heard since you were a kid. And yet, wasn't it fresh today, still, yet? It was for me. And I know that that can be the case as the Spirit leads our Bible study. It's always fresh. Adapting some of the whole class group activities that Encounter suggests takes some reworking. Making groups of 4, for example, is difficult with 7 students in various grades. We generally do whole class discussions. I encourage them to brainstorm without me and then share together. I think what I did here is I asked teachers on Facebook, on the Facebook Encounter group. Yeah, because Leanne is, I don't know where she works, but not locally. Okay, how do you make the upper levels work for the lower grades? So if you're teaching 7th grade Bible or whatever, year 7, and you have like 1st graders or even kindergartners. So here's some ideas. Team up. Team the lower level with the upper level. Talk together. Do the journaling at their own level. So pictures versus words versus sentences versus paragraphs, whatever. It says, it can be differentiated down if you're creative. Look at the theme of the unit. And then pull age-appropriate resources. The littles can engage without you having to sacrifice the really powerful discussions and object lessons that make these units come to life for the older students. Here's an example. The 8th grade Joseph unit has you polish rocks in a rock tumbler to illustrate how Joseph goes through trials, but God uses them for good. The kids loved seeing the progress of their rocks and drawing how the rock got smoother. For the sanctuary, the kids worked in teams to build the various pieces of furniture. The older kids set up a mock sanctuary out in the field behind the school, and they were tour guides, taking the younger students to each piece of furniture and explaining the significance. And then you can differentiate the length of the verses as well. So if it's a really long verse, you can have them learn the main part or prioritize that. And you probably have your own ideas, and that's great. Hopefully you do. Maybe use that as a springboard. Okay, so I showed you how to get to the website. Where do you get the materials that you see in the lesson guide? And we're going to be, when we plan in a little bit, after I finish this overview, we'll take a break, and then we're going to plan together. We'll show you how to get there. But just for reference, when you're asking, oh wait, where am I supposed to get these materials? There's a couple different places. Number one is the Encounter website that has pretty much everything you need. Number two, you order, or maybe your school already has ordered, a unit resource kit for the different levels. And then number three, some of the unions have created resources. This is like supplemental stuff. From Atlantic Union Conference, they have a teacher bulletin that they've put together with examples of units on Adventist heritage. So you might want to supplement with some of that, depending on what you're teaching in Bible. Now, when we get to the lesson guides, like I said, you'll be reading and you'll see, okay, on the side of the lesson guide, there's something that looks like this. The anticipation guide, or the Bible Patriarch Summary, and then you see where it's at. This one on the top says, Unit Resources Folder, Sample Appendix D. When you see Unit Resources Folder, that means go online. You're going to look in the folder online on the website. If you just see a name of something and then Appendix F, and it doesn't say Unit Resources Folder, then you're actually going to go to the back of your teacher guide to the appendix files there. So it is confusing a little bit because there's appendix files on the website and there's appendix files in your teacher guide. And your teacher guide can be found on the website, but it's a whole PDF document, and if you're accessing it from the website, those appendix files will be if you scroll down, and it'll be at the end of your teacher document. And if you've printed it off, which is definitely the way to go, in my opinion, then you're going to turn to the back of your binder. So this is the next thing, organizing materials. Ideas are like to have a spiral bound. So I think, Jody, didn't you bring your binder today? Oh, so beautiful. So she just has like, what is that, half-inch binder? Or just a,
Yes.
yeah. And this is for each unit, you would have one of these. So there's like, I don't know, 9 units in the year, for example. So or 10 or 12, I forget. 12 maybe.
But it's in page protector, so I can use a dry erase marker and write all over it and draw lines to where I plan to go on a particular day, star things. When I'm finished, if I don't want to have a whole bunch of tiny binders, I have one really big binder that I transfer these into, so I have a 3rd grade binder for the year and a 4th grade one.
Yes.
Full, but
That's what I do as well. I have one huge binder that has the whole year in it, and then when it's time for the next unit, I pull that unit out and I put it in the little binder. And I put the old unit that we've just taught back in the big binder. So that's an example of a way to do it. Yeah, but you can also use totes, bins, especially like for your unit resources kit. You'll probably have a couple of large bins with those materials because they have like hands-on things for the kids to experience throughout the units. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be asking you on the next slide the answer to this question. Here's the question. What is one important thing to remember to keep the integrity of the program intact? And here's the answer on this slide that you will need to remember for the next slide. Well, you might pick and choose activities because, guys, there's so much in the lesson guides. There's so much, and it's great. But you're not going to have time for everything. So you're going to pick and choose. And sometimes it'll even say, thank you, Siri. Sometimes it'll even say, like, do this or do this. And so it's obvious you have to pick one. Or you could do both if you really wanted, but that would take more time. Depends on the time you have. But other times you're going to look and say, ooh, I only have this many minutes and this many days, so what's priority? You can pick and choose. But here's the thing we need to do to keep the integrity of the program intact, and that is, can you read the bold with me? Remember to include all 8 phases of the learning cycle. Let's read it one more time. Remember to include all 8 phases of the learning cycle. So here it's listed. And I put this picture of a butterfly and a caterpillar up to remember that we need to have all of the stages of development to really get the beautiful transformation at the end that God is able to do in our hearts and minds. Because this Bible Encounter curriculum has been designed based on research of how we learn. So we need all 8 phases: the learner bait, the learning context, animated learning, engaged learning, heart learning, soul learning, life learning, Kaizen learning. Okay, here you go. What is one important thing to remember to keep the integrity of the program and the transformation that God wants to do in our students' lives and ours intact?
Include all 8 phases of the learning cycle.
Okay, but now type it. You're right. No, that's okay. I'm glad you remembered. You can give yourself a hand. I love that. All right. Yay! Yay! 100%, A+. Yeah, very good. Okay. So, I know some of you may still be responding, but for time. Are there sample plans? Here's another good question. Are there any sample plans? Are there weekly schedules to follow? So we're going to put some things on Padlet, and when we go through our planning time together in about another, 20 minutes, I guess-ish, 15, 20 minutes, then we'll put together a sample plan. But we also have some things that we'll link for you guys. Another question. Okay, you're back at your school during the year, and you're like, I want more support. I need continued support. I mean, we all do. And it's a good thing to get it. So where do you go to get it? One place you can go, besides other teachers, your colleagues, your principal, your superintendent, besides that, there's a Facebook page. So Linnell Cobbins, one of the writers, she's often on there and active. Martha Band comes in sometimes, our technology director for the NAD. But a lot of teachers come in here. Like, okay, yesterday I was on this site, you guys, because I was, Sherry is kindly working for us this week and with us, and she offered to laminate, right? So I was like, hey, can you find my memory verse cards for the year and print those and laminate those? So she's been doing that. But then she got to the end of the first grade year, and like the last unit, the 12th unit, the memory verse cards didn't match with so they have a big, an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper size treasure verse. Okay, and then they have mini cards, and what I do is I print those and I laminate those and we put them on a ring, and then the kids have that ring for the whole year. There's different ways to keep track of the memory verses in a pocket, a zip pocket, or you can have them in a binder with the baseball card or whatever, the little things But I like to keep them on a ring. Anyway, so she got to the end and she was like, hey, this doesn't match. The big poster size didn't go along with the mini ones. And so we figured something out, and then I got onto the Facebook, and I was like, hey guys, I found that this doesn't match. And so I know Linnell will see that, or Martha, or somebody, but in the meantime, like, I just shared a link of what I did to fix that. And so if you guys need that, it's gonna be on the Facebook group. Once you get your training, you can go and join this group. It's a private group, but you can get in with your training. That's your key. And then, like, you can talk with other teachers about this. There's other great Facebook sites, like the multi-grade, Adventist multi-grade Facebook site, but this is specifically for Bible. So a lot of times, if I have a question, I'll go on here because there's probably a high chance that the question's already posted and somebody's already answered it. So anyway. Okay, what are some other ways you might get support besides the Facebook group? Maybe you guys have some ideas, and it might be helpful for us to see. Oh, it says choose an option. I was going to have you guys write that. Whoops. What does it say on there? What are the options? I don't even remember.
The Holy Spirit.
Ooh, look at all these options. Let's see. We can watch it grow. Let's see if we can watch it grow. What do you guys think? I mean, really, yeah. You might have a favorite one, but technically all of the above is definitely true. Yes, you can find it from other teachers. Yes, your superintendent. Yes, the Holy Spirit. Yes, you can contact any of us as facilitators of this workshop at any time. Yes, the Facebook group, but good job. All of the above. Okay, how do I get out of this? All right. Just a couple of quotes to end with. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in his word I do hope. We must let patience have its perfect work, remembering that there are precious promises in the scriptures for those who wait upon the Lord. I have a Savior whose promises sustain me and my students. I can ask him to guide my preparation for encounter class and to send his Holy Spirit to instruct our hearts, and trust that he will do it in due time, because he loves to give good gifts to his children. I love the promise in this promises in the scripture, and in his word I do hope, because this morning I read that, you know how in heaven there's the tree of life, and its leaves, what do the leaves do? They bring healing to the nations. Can you eat of the tree of life today?
Amen.
I mean, we're not there in heaven, right? But I read this morning that we can eat of the tree of life because the knowledge of God, his truth, are the leaves of the tree of life. And so as we read his word, and as we believe it and put it into practice, we're bringing Jesus close, and we're letting him work out his healing in our lives and in the lives of our students. So this time, you may have read the quote before, right? For your planning of Bible and for your teaching of Bible, give it your freshest thought. When you're doing your batch planning for Bible, or however, think about maybe when you're doing it. You know, we talked about MAP testing and how we say, okay, guys, get a good night's of sleep and get your nutrition, eat whatever. I know, guys, that there are long days and we don't always eat well, but long days and short nights. But our freshest thought when we plan Bible. So just something to think about. All right, guys, he loves to give good gifts to you and to me, and I'm so thankful for that. One of the gifts that we're going to do today is be able to plan together. So we're going to take a break first, another good gift. Thank you guys for logging into Pear Deck with me and for your attention.